Alrighty, hello everyone. My name is Isabelle Kaler. I am a chemical engineering student at the University of Nebraska, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my experience in the College of Engineering. So I'm just going to be going through how I got into engineering, how I'm doing now, and sort of what I want to do in the future. So just to get started, just to introduce myself, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and I've lived there my whole life. So these are just a few old pictures of me. I played softball growing up. I have an older brother, and I graduated from Duchesne Academy in Omaha. So there's me with my family. And so when it kind of came to be my senior year and I was picking a place to go to school, I was very wishy-washy. I couldn't really narrow down what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. It really came down to these four schools, even though I applied to about 12, which is a lot. And that made that decision really difficult. So the things that I was kind of looking into were money, the programs that I wanted to study, and those were pretty much the main factors for me. I ended up picking Nebraska just because it felt the most like home. I was kind of realizing that every time I stepped onto the other campuses, I just didn't have the same feeling that I had at Nebraska, and it ended up just being that gut decision. And I'm really glad that I did. So when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to study, that was also very difficult for me. I knew that I wanted to help people and that I wanted to contribute to society in a positive way, but there were so many options. And I enjoyed a lot of classes in high school too, so it was hard to figure out what subject I even wanted to go into. I know I was considering becoming a doctor or an accountant or a multitude of different things. So it was hard for me to decide what field I wanted to go into. But in high school, luckily, I liked math and science, so I decided to try engineering. On the left, there's a picture of me after seeing Calculus the musical. I had a really fun day that day, apparently, but yeah, I liked math. And then in this picture here, I was on the chemistry field day team. We actually won a couple of awards, so that was fun. And then I also did physics field day. So there's my team with our egg drop device thing, and the egg did not break, so that was fun. But yeah, I decided to do engineering because I really enjoyed chemistry and science, so I did chemical engineering. And I am still in chemical engineering because even though it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, it was great. It's a very flexible field, which I'll go into more later, and that ended up being perfect for me. So there are a lot of career options for chemies. So the first I'm going to go over is petroleum, and that's this pictures of a big oil rig. So that's a lot of what a lot of chemical engineers end up working on, getting natural gas and that sort of thing. There's also food engineering. So that could be anywhere from genetic engineering to just helping manufacture different food products. There's also pharmaceuticals and biotech. So in that picture there, you can see medicines and sort of things. There's also stuff like medical technology that chemies help work on. So that's a really cool industry. There are also consumer products, which is really broad, but when you think about it, that's like soap, batteries, toothpaste. I mean, all the things in that picture that can be considered a consumer product. A lot of things that people buy just at Walmart. There's also alternative and renewable energy. So that picture has wind turbines, but you can also think of like nuclear energy or solar energy. Chemies do have a hand in that as well. I also decided to include polymers and materials engineering in here as well. That's a really interesting industry because it's so broad. Polymers are basically carbon chains that create things like plastic that we use every day. And that's an interesting industry because it can be anywhere from just like a plastic pen that you're using to like a battery. I actually worked in a lab that worked with polymers in the hydrogen fuel cell, which makes electric cars possible. And I thought that was really cool. So those are just the 6 types that I could think of that I wanted to include in this presentation, but it's a really broad world for chemical engineers. And I love that because, as I mentioned before, it was a hard decision for me to make. I don't really know what I want to do. So it's nice to have all these options. The 2 that I'm the most interested in are pharmaceuticals and renewable energy. So those are kind of where I can see myself. So this is just kind of a weekly schedule for me. This was fall 2020 school schedule. So what you can see right now are my classes. You can kind of see that I'm done, about 10 a.m. to noon most days, except for Wednesday where I have a lab in the evening. But you'll see that it fills up pretty quickly. I also have a job. So these orange blocks are my work. So I was a TA and I also was a academic tutor. And then the purple blocks are my student involvement times. So in the evenings, I would spend a lot of time in the clubs that I'm involved in. And then the pink are more like self-care. So obviously I like to set aside time for a nap. That's really important for me at least. And then I also need to make time to shop for groceries and do laundry and things during the week just to make sure that I am taking care of myself. And then those grays are for studying. And I will say I don't spend all that time studying most of the time. That time can be used for studying. It can be used for meeting with professors if I need to. It can be used for, obviously I didn't block out time for meals in this. So a lot of times I'll be eating in the afternoons during that time. So this is just kind of what I like to stick to though. I kind of like to try to set aside plenty of time for studying. However, that doesn't always happen because I do tend to procrastinate at times. But I know coming into this major, I was worried about having time to do things and I was worried about being overstretched. But really, if you stay on top of it and you just know how to schedule out your time, it's totally manageable. And on top of school, I get to do a lot of extracurricular stuff. So these are just the different clubs that I'm involved in. So the first is Engineering Ambassadors, which is why I'm here giving this presentation. Pictures of me and my friend Noha at the Children's Museum. And then I'm also involved in Engineers Without Borders, which seeks to build sustainable engineering solutions in developing communities. That picture is at our annual stream cleanup where we pick up trash out of the local stream. So we find a street sign in the river there. I also have gotten to do undergraduate research. So that picture of me is of me at a poster symposium presenting the research that I did that summer. And that was with the polymers that I talked about earlier. And I won't really go into many details, but you're welcome to ask me any questions about that. I didn't have a picture of this, but I'm also a Husker academic tutor. So I tutor student athletes. And I was also a TA this semester for an introductory ChemE class. So that was really cool. And I'm also in an honors fraternity where I am the service and philanthropy chair. So I helped organize like a park cleanup, picking up more trash. And then I've also had a couple of internship opportunities. So over the summer 2020, I was the process optimization intern at Novozymes. And then this spring, so January through August of 2021, I'll be a co-op at Cargill up in Milwaukee. So that's really exciting. And those experiences are all possible because of the College of Engineering at Nebraska. It's so supportive and it was really great in helping me find internships and just ways to get involved. And then that last picture is of me at my internship at Novozymes. So yeah, I wanted to include this slide because another thing I was worried about going into engineering was that I wouldn't have enough time to have a social life, but thankfully I do. You'll find that you make a lot of friends in your classes and those friends help you get through it. They're great in helping you study or even just helping you de-stress after after a stressful day. But it's great. I've had a great time so far and yeah, I can't wait to see what the future holds. So I'm willing to answer any questions. I know this is a virtual presentation, so yeah, but yeah, thank you for listening and I hope you learned something today. Thank you.